On paper, horror and comedy might seem to be at odds with one another. One is designed to make the audience laugh, and the other is designed to scare the shit out of them. But they're really two sides of the same coin, and these two seemingly conflicting tones can actually enhance each other when they're included in the same film. The comedy puts you at ease, so the horror can take you by surprise. Then when you're petrified by a big scare and you're on the edge of your seat, the comedy comes back to put you at ease again. And then there's another big scare, and the cycle keeps repeating itself for a riveting movie-going experience. Both frights and laughs are all about timing, and they're both crafted with the goal of catching the audience by surprise to elicit an instinctive emotional reaction. It's just that one of those reactions is fear and the other one is amusement. In the hands of the right director, horror and comedy can be soulmates. But while they make for well-suited bedfellows, it's almost impossible to pull off both horror and comedy effectively within the same movie. It's hard enough to make a comedy that's actually funny, or a horror movie that's actually scary. So to make a horror comedy that's both funny and scary is a truly impressive cinematic accomplishment. It takes a real visionary like Wes Craven or Sam Raimi to pull it off. Before I begin the list proper, I've got some honourable mentions that aren't necessarily among the greatest horror comedies ever made, but still did a fantastic job of mixing the two genres. Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein leans more into the comedy side than the horror side, but it gets points for being the first movie to combine these two genres effectively. Freaky is one of my favourite movies. It's a slasher crossed with a body swap movie. Director Christopher Landon brings plenty of grindhouse thrills to the proceedings, while Catherine Newton and Vince Vaughn give endlessly enjoyable performances as each other. Beetlejuice is a ton of fun, The Lost Boys is a ton of fun, and The Man with Two Brains is delightfully dark for a Steve Martin film. But anyway, let's get on with the actual list.
I know this guy. It's Count Fagula.
Hey, don't swear.
Sorry,
We're werewolves.
Not swear.
What are we?
Werewolves, not swear.
The concept of a mockumentary about the daily lives of vampires sounds like it would be stretched thin in a 3-minute sketch. But Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi managed to make it work brilliantly as a feature-length film, and it's since been adapted into an equally great TV show. Clement and Waititi have a really strong grasp of vampire lore, and they know exactly what makes the mundane things in life funny, and they have a really sharp sense of where the twain should meet. What We Do in the Shadows is a tight 80-minuter, and it doesn't waste a second. It has the creepiness of a classic Dracula movie with the authentic awkwardness of a Christopher Guest film.
What's that noise?
Popcorn.
You making popcorn?
Uh-huh.
I only eat popcorn at the movies.
Well, I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Really? What?
Oh, just some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Wes Craven revolutionized the slasher genre in two key ways in Scream. He introduced a whodunit element with the ominous feeling that the killer could be lurking among the heroes, and he introduced a self-aware element with characters who are familiar with all the horror movie cliches happening around them. Scream was way ahead of the curve on meta humor. Self-awareness has been done to death in modern media, but the original Scream still holds up beautifully. I got the chance to see it on a big screen recently in a packed house, and both the scares and the laughs landed just as effectively as if the movie was brand new. Scream has a razor-sharp script brought to life by incredible actors. It gets to have its cake and eat it too. It has all the grisly fun of a typical slasher, but it also upends all the tropes and conventions of the genre.
Look behind you. Turn around. Behind you. Oh, turn. Behind you. Behind you.
What's the matter, David? I'm taking a shortcut before.
If Shaun of the Dead didn't feature any zombies and it was just a story about Shaun trying to grow up and win back his girlfriend, it would work perfectly well as a straightforward romantic comedy. And if it didn't feature any jokes or comedic situations, it would work perfectly well as a straightforward zombie movie. But it transcends both of these familiar formulas by combining the two and carving out a niche of its own as a rom-zom-com masterpiece. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost lead an impeccable cast with their incomparable on-screen chemistry, with plenty of hilarious moments and even a few that tug on the heartstrings. Edgar Wright introduced the world to his frenetic, fast-paced filmmaking style with Shaun of the Dead. His evenly paced script, co-written with Pegg, makes masterful use of foreshadowing to build suspense, and finds the perfect balance between a gory spook show, a snappy comedy of errors, and a genuinely heartfelt drama. John Landis's masterfully crafted An American Werewolf in London starts out as an oddball, fish-out-of-water comedy about two American backpackers who stick out like a sore thumb in a misty English village. But it quickly takes a dark turn when they're attacked by a werewolf in the middle of the night. The one who was killed ends up stuck in werewolf limbo, where he begs the one who survived to kill himself before he transforms, to save others from meeting the same grim fate. And of course he ignores these warnings and ends up turning at the first sign of a full moon. An American Werewolf in London might be a spoof of werewolf movies, but thanks to Rick Baker's Oscar-winning effects, it has the most believable transformation sequence in the entire genre.
Rick Baker, get out here, you talented son of a bitch!
But as much fun as Landis has with the horror tropes and the sight gags, he never loses track of the emotions. At its core, An American Werewolf in London is a tragic love story. There are a ton of big scares and big laughs along the way, but the ending is just heartbreaking, as David recognizes Alex for a brief moment before he's gunned down by police and she cries over his corpse.
Gotcha, didn't I, you little sucker?
Evil Dead 2 is the greatest horror comedy ever made because it fully embraces the visual language of both horror and comedy for a truly unique, deeply engaging cinematic experience. It spawned its own genre of cartoonish horror. It's a stylish hammer horror film and a silly slapstick comedy rolled into one. Sam Raimi established himself as a formidable force of horror filmmaking and inspired a generation of horror directors to pick up a camera with the groundbreaking original Evil Dead film. But he didn't really introduce his signature brand of campy terror until he followed it up with its first sequel, Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead 2 essentially remakes the first film as a satirical comedy, adding in goofy gags and dialing up the gonzo gore. The demons themselves have a twisted sense of humor. This is a real everything in the kitchen sink kind of movie that has to be seen to be believed. Raimi crammed as much carnage as possible into every single frame. But no matter how wacky it gets, Raimi manages to sustain a creepy, unnerving atmosphere from start to finish. Evil Dead 2 combines the unbridled zaniness of a Three Stooges film with the unsettling ambiance of The Shining.
Let's go.
Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you liked the video. Remember to like and subscribe and click on the little bell. And also seize the day and call your mom and be kind to yourself.